two parameter. One is called permit root login equal to yes, and password authentication will be by default it will be no. You have to yes. Then you need to restart the SSH service. Then you have to try to do login from outside. So try that one. If not, then I will access remotely and do that after the class.
All right, no worries. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So okay. So let me start now. So what we discussed yesterday. So yesterday we just started discuss about how to create a version. If I want to give specific version, for example, I'll just when I mention this is the name of Ubuntu, and I want to download for 17.10 version of the version of image I want to download. So first, when you run this command, first it will try to check whether this image is available locally. If this image is not available, then it will pull that images from Docker Hub, my local machine, and it's try to pull that images from Ubuntu. Yes or no? So if you want to pull any specific version of images, then you just need to mention name of image and the version of image. What is the version of image you want to pull? So this is specific image, the version you can pull. So once you pull that images, if you just check Docker images, now you can see the Ubuntu version of images, which is called 17.10 image is available. So I can see here logging. So let me log out over here. Okay. Now, for example, so what I'll do here, I'll just run this command with the sleep. So 100 second over here. So now this container is started with foreground. So now within 100 second I can't use this terminal because this is currently running. Now if you go to another tab and if you run docker ps command, now you can see one container is running with 100 second. And suppose if you wanted to now I want to use my terminal, then what you need to do, you can use docker kill. So you can kill that one, right? So if you did kill means now you kill or stop you can use. So once you kill, automatically you can see that now you can use your terminal. Got the point? Now for example, you don't want to kill. Suppose I just mention over here, is it possible, can you do no?
Saurabh, can you tell me again the attachment? What is the use attach?
Okay, see by default whenever you run this command called docker run -d, your application is running, data is in the background is running. Okay, so now you can use your terminal everything, but you want to bring your container as a attached mode, mean foreground you want to run again, then you can run docker attach container time. So it will if your container is at attached mode, that means attached to your terminal and you cannot operate anything, right? So that can be do, but that will be attached till if you mention sleep equal to 100, right? So once your job is done 100 seconds, then it will come back to your normal terminal. So there are two ways you can deploy your application, either attached by default. If you not mention any option, the application will be start with foreground. If you want to bring back go back to your back to detached mode, then you have to using -d options you can use. To your Docker Hub account, let's just go here. If I see here any image timer, so you can see there are a lot of images are there, so you can download. So I can say here the Docker pull. So they did not give these images for publicly, that is fine. So mainly guys, if you how do you manage your container? anytime if the container is running stays, you can start, stop, restart, you can do anytime. And if you want to, anytime if you bring back to your application to foreground, then you can use the Docker attach, you can do that one. So once it's attached, then you can stop the container, again you start with the normal way. The program you can do that. So -d is nothing but you can run a container in background. One Jenkins application, right? So Jenkins, which is used for CI/CD purpose, continuous integrate and continuous deployment. And if you want to deploy Jenkins, then you can see first hosting a Jenkins container in the Docker is very easy because the ready-made images are available. So I can say if there's any Jenkins images available, I just mentioned Jenkins. So now I can say Jenkins, which is this image is available. So let me first let me pull that images. So or else I'll just do here, guys. What I'll do, I'll just do Docker pull Jenkins. So just try to pull the Jenkins image first. So now I can see the Jenkins image is available in my local machine now. So I'll just run Docker images. Now I can see the Jenkins images is available, presently is available right now. And if you want to start the Jenkins, so usually Jenkins is, guys, so you can say web server, and Jenkins usually it will use for build purpose. So if you want to deploy your application continuously, right? So you can start the multiple jobs, build jobs continuously. You can deploy through application through Jenkins. Now, suppose you want to start the Jenkins. How do you start, guys? I'll just mention Docker or run Jenkins. So what will happen is when you mention Docker run Jenkins, because it's a web server, so it will start Jenkins. So now you can see the Jenkins web server is starting now.
Sandeep, during whenever we are pulling any image, it is possible with any tag assignment.
Yes, you can do that. So you can use Jenkins : tag name. For example, if you go back to your here Jenkins, if you click here Jenkins, if you not mention any tag, right? Default tag will be latest tag.
Correct,
okay?
right.
And if you want to pull some images specific version, so that is what I told you, Ubuntu : 16.0 or 17.10. So that will it will pull Ubuntu with specific version. Same thing if you want to pull Jenkins with 2.60.3. So you just mention Jenkins : version name. So it will pull that images.
Instead of the version name, can we assign own name, any custom name?
So that custom name you can use if you have when you use the Docker file. Okay, if you should build your own name, own images.
Okay,
that is possible. Yeah. So I'll tell you that one. Okay. So next class will be how to create a Docker file. Okay. So now, guys, now you can see my Jenkins is up and running right now, and you can see that if you want to use Jenkins and use this password to connect to your Jenkins server, to connect your Jenkins, if you want to access your Jenkins and use this password. But this will be anytime by default. Whenever you start any container or deploy any instance through Docker will assign one IP address to each container. That IP can be accessible within the container itself. You can't access that from outside. And yesterday someone asked to access my application from outside, then you have to do port forwarding. That means you need to assign one port number. So if you enable one port number, that can be accessible from outside of your cluster. Outside means can be accessed from your laptop. So this can be, I can only access within my operating system. So since this is my CLI mode, because this is a CLI.
This conference will now be recorded.
So this is my CLI. So this is my CLI. So if you visit CLI, guys, you can't access to your web server. So now if I go to docker ps command, if I run docker ps command, now I can see my Jenkins application is running, and with the port number will be 8080, right? So now if you just run, you want to find the IP address of your container, then you just mention inspect and your container name. If you just mention your container name over here and you hit enter, you can see there is one IP address. Yes or no? You should hit this IP to connect to your Jenkins server. So if you just mention call command hyphen kv http:// and the IP address :8080. So now when you mention 8080, so now you can see that you're able to access your application. I can able to hit my application, but to connect to your first time when you connect your Jenkins, you need a authentication required. So you have to give the username and the password. So fine. So what I'll do, I'll tell, okay, I want to stop. Then I'll just mention Control C. So it's terminate. My application is terminated right now. So I'll say start my container with enable the port number. So I'll just mention run-p enable port number 80. This is the container port number, and this 80 host port number. So when I hit enter, I started my container with the port number. So let me say to bring up Jenkins. Okay guys, now you can see your Jenkins is up and running now. So now if I want to access my Jenkins, so now Jenkins is fully up and running. So what I'll do now, I'll just connect my web browser. So what is the IP address of your Docker? Sorry, the host name. My node IP will be 192.168.1.150. So I'll just open a browser and I'll just type over here. I'll just here I'll say 1.50, 1.150, and if I want to use my port number will be 80 and 80. See guys, now whenever I hit enter, now I can see my Jenkins is, I can able to access my Jenkins server, right? I can access. Now if you want to enter a password, so he's asking please enter a password to continue. Now if I give the password over here, so I can see this is my password, so I can hit enter and continue. So whenever you continue, it will, you can see now Jenkins is up and running. So same thing as if you want to deploy this kind of application in one of the virtual machine, you need to spend a lot of time because you have to do a lot of packages need to be installed, so many dependencies, so many library files you have to do. But here everything is already there. This is only the sample Jenkins is there. But if you want to customize, then you have to write your own Docker file to customize your Jenkins application. So this will give you the platform to you directly. Now later on, as a developer guys, they will bring the images from Docker Hub and they will just customize, and those customized images they can deploy in production or the dev cluster, right? So hopefully everybody clear. So if you want to deploy any kind of application, then to access you just use a port number. So this is what can be accessed from the outside of your cluster. Just you enable one port number.
But here you mentioned the port number two times, right? Separated
Yeah.
by colon.
Yeah, first port number which will be use your container port number, and another port number which will be enabled in local, which will enable your local IP colon port number so that you can access your Jenkins server.
So, you're not assigning any special IP for that one, right? Separate IP.
Yes. No,
So
you
you are
don't need to
using the.
assign. Yeah,
Mhm.
we will use the local IP address.
Okay.
But if you want to do see now here somebody will say, is it possible to assign um, public
Separate IP.
IP, separate
Yeah.
IP? You can also assign that one.
Okay.
So for that you need to create a service. The service you need to configure. So that we will discuss you on the Kubernetes class.
Not in the Docker.
Saurav?
Docker is not required you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because you need
Saurav?
another.
Sir,
Yeah,
how do we
please.
trace the container port?
Yeah, same thing. If you do inspect, right? If you do inspect, you will see that Jenkins port number.
Okay.
If you Docker inspect image Jenkins image name, you can see the port number. So by default, Jenkins the port number will listening on 8080.
Okay.
Because which is web server.
But sort of whenever we do the inspect, right, it will give the IP, right? IP of that container. Then
Yes.
instead of 8080, we can give the IP colon 8080.
You can use that one. You can.
Both way we can do it, right?
Yeah, the work you can do that.
Okay.
Saurav, if I want to give the SSH port for this, how can I do it?
Which one? Which one?
SSH port for the Jenkins.
It's 22 port or what?
Yeah, if I want to connect the Jenkins container through external.
See, no. So that one you need a public IP address. Okay, that I told you. No, you have to configure the public IP. So once you configure the public, see now everything is not possible in Docker. Now you somebody asking, I should get I should get one URL so that in Office everybody can able to access, right? So those things which is available in the Kubernetes only. In orchestration will give you all this platform to you.
No, if
Right?
you excuse me, if you actually port mapping 22 to any local port, it will work, right? Once you
It will
type
work. It will work, but you cannot do SSH Jenkins, no?
No. Actually, you just use the port mapping 22 to the no. You just need to port map to the 22 of the Jenkins port, right?
Yes,
then you
that
can
is any port you can assign. Okay, so that port you type. So, but by default, this container port should be constraints that you can't change. The next this port you can change. It's not like 88. I can give 9090, right? That can be possible.
What
Any
about
port
if
number
you,
you
if
can
you,
give.
if you give 808081 to 22, then you just using that port to try to
Exactly. You
access
use that port to connect to your Jenkins.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do that. Got the point, guys? So if you want to connect to same thing, you want to Jenkins, anything you want to deploy, right? So these are the lightweight application. This is microservice. Can be directly customer they can access, but industry they can access through one URL. So you will get one URL. Using that URL, you can connect to your Jenkins server, right? And now if my Jenkins goes down, or for example customer is increasing, so I need a multiple replica, right? So those cannot be possible over here. Possible means what? Again, you have to run the same command in 2 times. Then Jenkins will be, it will do multiple replicas. Those things we will discuss while we are talking with the Docker compose command. So compose can be do multiple replica, multiple container you can start. That can be possible through Docker compose only. Okay. Now, hopefully this you can deploy the small kind of application. Jenkins application can be deployed through Docker. Just verify basic things. You can just verify kind of any images, using any images you can deploy the application, and make sure can be access that images. If you want to check the version of images, you can go to your hub.docker.com. From there you can pull, you can check the version of images. 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 You can che the images from Jenkins, right? And hopefully everybody created on hop.docker.com accounts. So I have just created my account. So if you want to, for example, now let me control C over here. I'll just want to cancel. Okay. Now, so let me in my local machine, I have some of the images are available, right? So is it possible? Can I copy this images to my Docker Hub account? So how can I logging my account? So if you want to login account, you just mention use Docker logging. When you logging, it lasts username. So I'll give a username over here and just give the password. So when you give a password, now you can see here you are connected. You are logging through Docker Hub account, which is you have used. Now you can say successfully you're logging, right? And now I have some images which is available in my local machine, and which I want to transfer those images to my personal account. Then what I'll do? So first you have to do Docker tag. Just suppose I want to copy small images. Let's say, for example, Ubuntu. I'll just give the image name, and you have to use tagging and the hub account. And here, or you can use directly image name of image you want to tag. I'll say this is Ubuntu customize Ubuntu latest whatsoever. Clear? Now when you hit and tag, so now if you mention Docker images, so there is one images which is created, and one more tagging is duplicate images, it's created, and the same images, and you want to transfer those images, then you just use Docker push and the name of image. This is my image with account. Sorry, push. So now guys, you can see these local images which you can post to your Docker Hub account, so that anybody can download those images from publicly. Those images make available public. So you can create your own customized image, and you can also publish those images to your account, right? So now if I go back to my account, if I say my repository, click on this repository, now I can see one images, Ubuntu images, which is available. So if I just click here, so now I can see guys the images which you have a post. So if you want to give right post or tagging, or if you want to make it publicly, then you can use public view. This can be accessible with anyone, and anyone can pull that images from publicly. So same thing, you can create your own customized images and make available in publicly, right? So but make sure you should logging your Docker Hub account, and you need to decide which images you want to tag. First, when you mention Docker tag this image, which is image available locally, and you want to send these images to this account. This is a account with your Docker Hub account and / image name. So once you give Docker tag image name, then you can use once image is tagged, then you can push that images. Once you push guys, you can just verify in your Docker Hub account. You can check whether you have Ubuntu images, whichever images, right? You can see here whether the image is push or not. So this is what how to push images to in the registries. Very simple. But make sure you should logging before you push. And if you want to say my job is done, then I want to log out from registry, then you can just run docker logout command. So docker logout command will be log out from your hub account. Got the point, all of you? How do you push images to your registry? Okay. So this is where you can deploy your application, and you can open a port number, or you can create your images, make available publicly. So this can be do it. So this is just I use here Docker logging first command. Next I use I just identified the image name, which image I want to make available. So I just use a tag, this image. Once I tag, then I have run docker push command to this. So this is the command to guys you can use for this command for logging to Docker Hub account and how to push that image. So I'll share you all the commands to you after the class. So meanwhile, if you want to try on your laptop, you can also do it on your laptop itself. Guys, all are able to hear me, right? So I can see somebody mentioned not able to hear. Okay.
Yeah, able to hear.
Okay, thanks. Fine.
Yeah, one
So
question.
yeah, please go ahead.
So you are pushing the images to the Docker Hub. So internally in an organization we have repositories, right?
Yeah.
So how to set up those
It's the same thing. Suppose as an industry, how they will go, guys. So you have one registry. You have one registry is configure. Okay. Now this is one registry. This is a registry. Okay. Docker Hub registry will be there. Now you have configure one registry. So it's very simple to configure registry as well. You can configure on registry also. So this is a registry, and by default registry port number will be 500. The port number will be 500. Now same, you think this is your Docker Hub account. This is your Docker Hub. Now also you think this is the Docker Hub. And if you want to log in your registry, then you need one username and password. So you required username and password is required. So same way you can also create a username password in the registry as well. Now you can ask to the customer that whenever the customer, now I have one person is available which he want to okay, if it's the Docker Hub account, if you want to pull any images, first these guys want to use Docker pull command, right? This is because Docker Hub account which is publicly available, so anybody can pull image without logging. You don't need to logging. But whenever you want to keep local image, suppose if you want there is images available local presently on your laptop, you want to transfer that image to your account, then first you need to logging. So whenever you logging, your connection will be established. First you logging. One after you logging, then you make a tag, then you can push that images. So whenever you push, right, the local images will be transferred to in your account. So this will be stored in your account. So you can see here one image will be there.
It's something
But
like
yeah. But in industry, they will not go for Docker registry. They will configure one on registry. They can say Artifactory, right? Or they can use the Docker DTR, like Docker enterprise version will be there, right? You can keep all the images. It will be scanning the images. All things will be there. So that you need to you have to deploy your one on registry. But if you configure one registry on your local machine, suppose you want to configure one registry, so there is one image will be there. Registry image will be there. So if you just mention registry, see one registry will be there. So it will configure. So if you just mention Docker run registry, so registry will configure on your laptop. So anybody can directly, so you just run this command to start your registry. Then after that you can, if any images available locally, you can pull images, then tagging localhost this, then Docker put this. So these are the process which will configure local registry on your local machine. Yes,
Sir, if I
try
configure the So if I configure the local registry and if I say Docker pull, it just goes to the local registry, correct?
No,
Is
first
that
of
correct?
all, no. After you configure Docker registry, when you first time if you pull Docker pull, this will pull for DTR, that will pull for Docker Hub only. Okay, because you want to make some images, you want to make available to registry, then you, this image is available locally. Then if you do tagging this image to your local host, then you push that image. Then this image is available your local registry. Next time onwards, if you want to pull RED, then you need to log in to your local registry. Then when you do the Docker pull command, then that image will pull from your local registry only. Don't worry, I can also show you one quick demo for registry part. Okay.
So the local registry login, is it different or just Docker login?
Same thing, Docker logging. You create one user account, right? Password and give URL and port number. You log in. Same command only you have to use. So instead of suppose say whenever I logging Docker logging, when I hit enter, right, automatically it's logging to where hub.docker.com. So now here when you logging, you have to do Docker log. You have to use username. For example, I have used my account. Then I have entered URL http localhost 5000. So this will be logging to your local registry. Then you make it available. Clear?
Okay, yeah, clear.
Fine. So this way, guys, you can configure your own registry. You can configure. You can copy, keep any images. Suppose somebody asks a question. One image is available in my local machine. Can I transfer that image to another machine? This is one a common question they will ask. They'll say yes, you can do that. First you need to Docker tag. Once tag is done, then you can run Docker push, so that image will be available to remotely.
So
this is a command for to
question. For Docker Enterprise is the same way they run.
Yes, that yes, that will be also same. But Docker Enterprise, which is called DTR, so that has license versions you have to take. That will be GUI access will be the graphical user interface, and from there you can create a username account, and that can be integrate with the LDAP authentication. So anybody can log in your DTR, they can keep all the images. So DTR will be distribute, right? Docker distribute enterprise. That way, if you keep any images there, that will be scanning will be too. But if you pull any images from docker.hub, hub.docker.com, and if you deploy that images industry, that cannot be helped. So that is what as the industry, what they will do, they will keep all the images in DTR as enterprise, so that DTR will be scanning, report will do, and he will also check warning which images will be any security related will be there. That can be done. But if in OpenShift environment, as a Red Hat is providing trusted images, you can use those images to deploy in the industry, in the bank environment.
Which one is the best platform, Docker Enterprise or Red Hat OpenShift?
No, if you are in a bank, if any bank deployment, right, the bank guys, they will prefer only the Kubernetes or OpenShift platform. And whenever they pull images, then they will go for DTR as a license enterprise, so that that they will provide the images. So enter the DTR guys, the Docker guys will provide the images, and they will responsible for any kind of security, any kind of security things or scanning thing. They will do it. So as the industry, they will go. They cannot pull images from docker.hub.account, because that is publicly. So somebody created, and if you those image, if you deploy as a bank, right, that will be not a good method to do that one. So every industry they will create a.
Now, as a Kubernetes platform, which one? Because Docker Enterprise also supports Kubernetes. Okay.
Yes, you can go for DTR.
No, I'm not talking about the registry perspective. As a Kubernetes platform perspective, which one is better, Docker Enterprise or OpenShift?
No, that is OpenShift only.
Why?
So OpenShift, see, same thing. So if you're talking about OpenShift is nothing but Kubernetes only. So backend everything will be using Kubernetes platform. So now if you're asking what is the difference between Docker and OpenShift, that is completely different. Docker is a container platform. To managing your Docker platform, then you need a orchestration tool. So in the market, two type of orchestration tools are available. One is a Kubernetes, which is hot in the market, and the Docker Swarm will be there. But Docker Swarm we can't use that one, but nobody is using Docker Swarm because that is a lightweight, right, which is not strong because a lot of downtime is required, everything. That is what people are using for Kubernetes. So Kubernetes also they have a private cluster will be there. So the Red Hat is they have own Kubernetes platform which is called OpenShift. So if you taken from OpenShift, from Red Hat, then you will get a license, you will get a support, RC, everything will support. But if you want to use a Kubernetes platform, so same thing, Kubernetes provider also, Amazon they are providing, Azure guys also, Microsoft is providing Kubernetes platform, so you can go for that way. So, but whenever you go for Amazon Kubernetes EKS, right? So then Amazon guys they will manage a master node, and you will manage only for worker node. So you don't have access to master cluster. You have only managing only the worker node only. So they will, as a Amazon guys, they will manage a master. So if anything problem with the master, you have to raise a ticket so that they can work on it, so that they can give a support to you in case if any issues on your cluster. But if you want to install Kubernetes cluster on your own, then you and your team will be responsible for to managing each and everything, because Kubernetes will be, there is no community, right? Community are there, so you can go to the Kubernetes community where you can get a help, but that cannot be get as soon as possible. You have to wait.
Sandeep, it is possible to give me basic difference what we can and cannot achieve in Docker Swarm and the Kubernetes.
Yes, in the Kubernetes class, I will explain you that one. There is a difference between Docker Swarm and Kubernetes.
Okay.
Fine, guys. So now the next thing, what exactly I wanted to do right now is how do I create a Docker file? Is it possible to create my Docker file? So what I want to learn now today is how can I create Docker files? So suppose, for example, customer will say, give me one CentOS images, or give me one platform where some packages should install, E-links package, curl package, Java package, some packages should install, some accounts should be, users should created, some of the files should be copy, right? So they will ask you. So by default, whenever you pull any images from Docker Hub, suppose if I pull images of Ubuntu, you will get only Ubuntu platform. Inside the Ubuntu, nothing is running. Nothing will be there in any related your application. Then you have to do your own, everything you have to do on your own only. Got the point? So that is what how you will do achieve in Docker file. So somebody last question, can I give my own name? Yes, you can do that. So you download one Docker images, you customize image, then you make available, create your own images, make available in Docker Hub, right? So same thing, example, how it work, you know. For example, I don't want to save here. So first of all, first you need to create one Docker file. This is a Docker file. So I'll say this is my Docker file, right? So Docker file in the sense means what? The Docker file is nothing but the text file with instruction to build images, right? So this is a Docker file you mentioned. Okay, I want to pull Docker image, then log into Docker image, create a file, create a directory, create a user, install those packages, blah 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 things. Do lot of things. Once you have Docker file, then next what you will do, whenever you build, suppose I just do build. So I'll using this Docker file, and I want to build. So if I just do build, I'll just do here build. If I do build, Docker build. So when you do Docker build will help you to create your own images with your customized whatever you have written. So Docker build will command will help you to create your own customized own images. So you can give any own images. On images you can give on images, right? So what are the steps you have to do? So if I ask what is the Docker file, so I'll say Docker is a text file with instruction to build images, automation of Docker image creation. Got the point? So this is a Docker. It's very easy to deploy one Docker file and Docker images. So what I'll do right now, how do I create one Docker file? It's very simple. There are 2-3 steps are there, guys. Suppose in my local machine, I have one Ubuntu image is there. So if I bring up my Ubuntu images, it should get a messages called hello from this. If anybody want to bring up my container, these are the tasks should be executed, or some files should be created, some text files should be created. Whatever you wanted to do, you can run it on your task. Suppose what I'll do, first I created called Docker, then I'll go to my Docker. I don't have anything. So to create one Docker, the first you have to create one Docker file which starting with D. So I'll just written Docker file and hit enter. So there are some few things will be there. First you have to give a platform. So the platform means first I'll just mention getting from or getting base image called Ubuntu. So what exactly do? First I'll mention, first bring up my Ubuntu image. This is Ubuntu. This is my first platform. So whenever anybody start container called Ubuntu, what exactly it will do? First, automatically do upgrade. First I'll say apt update. This command should execute automatically. You don't need to run this command. These are the automation I will do. That means you don't need to run always apt update whenever you start a container. So next I'll say run or install some of the packages like apt install Vim. Install the Vim package as well. Okay. Or if you want to install multiple packages, then you can also mention multiple packages also. You can give. Suppose I'll say or install Python. Install Python also. So I'll say install Python as well. Python package. So this from is nothing but first you need to mention your platform. What is the image name? First I will get blank image name Ubuntu. Then again whenever I build my Docker file, automatically these two commands will execute. First it will update all the packages. Then next it will try to install some multiple packages you can install. So whenever you install any packages, it will ask the questions, right, whether you want to install or not. So always you should give here yes -y, so that it will not ask any question to you. So next also, once it is done, you can give multiple tab, doesn't matter. This is text file. So now I want to run any commands. So if you want to run any command, you can give cmd. So I'll say give me echo, right? I'll say echo. I'll say hello world. So I'll say from my the first Docker images, and I'll close this one. Simple things. So whenever anybody wants to use my Ubuntu, automatically update all the packages and it install these two packages and they will get a welcome messages, right? Now then what I'll do now, then I will save this file. Now in my local machine, I created one customized Docker file, which is, and I have mentioned all the information. Now how to build now? So if I want to build, so I'll just I want to build Docker build. So I just mentioned here you have to do Docker build. How do you build Docker build? Then you have to give a dot. Dot means what? Whenever you run Docker build, he will check. This Docker build command will be checked whether Docker file is available or not in local machine. So we'll check, or you can also give the full path where this Docker file is available. So if I just mention dot, it will build my Docker images. But I want to give my own name. So I'll say I want to give -t is a tag. So I can give my image name. So you have to give the syntax will be image name : tag. Got the point? So I'll say, okay, do one thing, give me image name called Ubuntu, and I'll say my Ubuntu server, my Ubuntu my Ubuntu I just mentioned here. So when you hit enter, it will try to build. So first, what exactly will do? He will first he get the images. Then second command he run apt update command he run. Once done your apt, so and he try to run some of the commands over here. Next command is try to run the vim python -y, and he try to install the Python package as well, right? And once done your Python packages, so it's preparing your own images. Once everything done, right, and now it's installing vim. Now you can say successfully build is successfully done. Now also you can see here step 4, the command. You will get a message, hello world. This command also present. Now one new images which is created with your own name, that is called my Ubuntu lattice. So now if I run Docker images, now you can see you have created one customized image. Now I will tell to my customer, if you use this image, you will get a what are the benefit you will get? All packages will be updated, and the required Python, because you want to practice Python is already installed, you don't need to do anything. Python is already done, and you can also use vim tools, text file you can use, and you will get a message. These are the benefits. Like this you can do customize, you can run all the customized commands. So what are the steps I gave, guys? So run means these commands will execute. cmd command will execute after bring up your container. Once bring up your container, the command will be execute. From means what? You should get one blank images, then you customize your requirement and done your task. Once you're done your Docker file, run the Docker build command, which will create your own specific images. And now you can see Docker images. Now you can check this image is available. Now if you want to bring off your application using these images, then what I'll do? So I can use Docker run command. I can bring up my application through use. So I'll use the Docker run. So let me run now. So if I run Docker run, my image name will be my Ubuntu. This is, I will use these images, right? So if you hit enter, now are you getting the message, hello world, and from the first Docker images? That means whoever will get it, they will get these messages. Now if you run hyphen, we will say run it from -d attach mode. So you will get a container. Now if you run Docker ps, you will see, sorry, you have to use, for example, I'll just mention sleep Docker ps. Now I can see my container is up and running with 100 seconds. Now if I want to log into my container, I'll just do Docker ES6 execute -it and your container name, and the container name or image name, anything could be fine, and you can use give me the best prompt. So best, you will get it this container. Now if you run Python, right? So Python is already installed. But by default, when you pull Ubuntu images, does not have a Python. Now you can say if you use my images, which have these are the customized packages, customized file, everything will be which is available. So you can come on from here. Got the point? So Control D for come out from your Python. Right now, if I can also use vim test file because vim is already installed. That is what vim is working. Normal Ubuntu does not have vim. So because you have already installed vim. So like this, guys, you can create your own customized Docker file.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I have one question here. So the Docker build command, is it necessary to run it in the same directory where the Docker file is present, or it can be
Yes,
run from
you can run anywhere, but make sure you should give the Docker file destination. Suppose when I run Docker file, you can this command. So I can say my Docker file is available. You can give the path. So I'll say /root under Docker under. So he will look into that file and build it. Suppose if you are in the same location, then you don't need to give anything. Just mention Docker things. Give a dot. Dot is mean present working directory. In the present working directory, my Docker file is available. So if you want to specify the some specific version, then a specific location, you can give a specific location and give your own name with this. You can do that. So it will create your own images.
And one more thing, that CMD, after that CMD, you have given some bracket. Is it a syntax that needs to be followed, or we can
You
do
can
it
use
without
the
that?
double quote, yeah, but without also it's fine. This is just double quote I have mentioned. Can use anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So if I make a note what I did, so what I'll do, guys, I'll just create one notepad. So what is the first step one is step one. First, if I want to create my own images, so this is the steps a customer will do, guys. As a customer, also they will ask, give me one CentOS platform where the CentOS has the Java packages, Python packages, those many packages are installed, and give me, so that I will tell, okay, give me some time, or I'll ask, can you raise a request to me? I will work on your request. So first I will download that images, base images, then I will customize as per the customer requirement and build with some name. Then I'll say, okay, please pull the images. This is the name I given. So they can use that images while deploy the application. So they will get all the benefit. So first what I did, if I ask question how to create Docker file. So first I'll say, so Docker file is nothing but which is our text file, which is a text file with instruction. Definition I will write later. So I'll just mention what are the steps I did. So first step one is the step one. First you create a file name called Docker file. First you have to do this one. Then you have to write all the steps, whatever requirement you will write. Once Docker file is ready, so what is the next step? You have to add all the instruction.
Capital letter or starting letter?
D should be capital. D should be capital. F is a small.
Is it? Okay.
Add instruction in Docker file. So you have to give all the instruction what exactly you are planning to do. Once you give all the instruction, so the step three will be build Docker file to create your own images. This will create your own images. Once that is done, then if you want to bring off your application, then I'll say run images to create container. This is what process. So what are the commands I have used? The command first call docker build. This build, if you make a dot over here, it will create a build, but you have to give docker build. I'll say I can give the full path. So I'll just mention here /root under docker under the file is available. The Docker file is available. Then I'll just mention what is the image name. So I'll say image name : tag. So in my case, which command I have used? So I have written, this is the example. It's just example. So then next I just run. Once this is done, then you can verify using Docker image. Docker image you can use, just verify. And if you want to simple application you want to run, then you can use Docker run. What are the commands I have written over here? You can run this your own application with your these images. Then you can execute whatever you wanted to do. After that you know already. So what are the basic things I have created? So first mkdir, I created one Docker. Then I went to cd Docker. Inside I have created one Docker file, which is name is called this. Then inside that I have mentioned, sorry guys. So first start with from, which will be used. You can give a command over here and give that all the details. Once the Docker file is ready, you can go for instead of build, you can directly go for this command, give a destination, and you can check here. This is what I did it, guys. Can be create your own Docker images. So if you wanted to test it on your the machine quickly, please do it over here. Did anyone ask question? Okay, thank you. So hopefully the basic things everybody clear. How will I create Docker images? Yes, guys. Anyone asking question? Please go ahead.
Yeah. So you told that Docker file should be the capital letter and small letter should be there. That's the mandatory to understand the build, right?
This start with the capital D. That's it.
Okay.
And
And
here you.
if you have the multiple files, right? So how?
Okay, multiple means how you will manage, right? So you create. Yes. So suppose what I'll do, I will create one more folder called httpd. I'll go to httpd folder. Here I will create my own, because each project they will create. So you create one more folder, create one more directory. From there you can deploy it.
So on the same directory, we should not have two.
Same directory. See, suppose I will just mention Docker file I created over here. For example,
under Docker only, I have Ubuntu and CentOS, two Docker files. Is that possible?
No. You have to give multiple Docker
one directory, one file only.
One file directory, one, yes. Okay. You can also I just say the steps, guys, so you can follow the very basic things. You can do it on your laptop, on your own Docker platform. So same thing you can also do. You can also not only Ubuntu, you can create any instance. You can download for Debian Debian container. You can give whatever commands you want to install. You can install it, or if you want to install export any port number you want to enable.
You can refer in from the website.
Yeah, anything.
No,
you're asking
the Docker file which you are creating.
Yeah.
No, the sample scripts will be available on the Docker.
Yes, see, if you just search here Docker, if you just mention Docker file, there will be a lot of sample file will be there. Okay. So here you can use, you can take a lot of things. So slowly you can deploy your own Docker build command. See Docker build -f. You can give Docker file name, the path of, see capital D will be start. Okay. So you can use a lot of instruction you can use, and you can start your own things you can do. So from is first, from will be start from, then you after from you can give the user's image from which first base image you have to give, then after what exactly you wanted to do, right? From there you can run command, copy command. Suppose you want to copy some of the files, then you can do that as well. Suppose I will also, guys, what I'll do, I'll just cd, I'll just mention CentOS. I'll create one CentOS, sorry, mkdir CentOS folder. Going to CentOS folder, and I'll go back to create first Docker file. So first you need to mention from should be capital. So you need to mention CentOS. First you need to bring your CentOS platform images. So once you have CentOS images, so after CentOS image, what you want to do? So I'll say, okay, from CentOS. Yes, anyone asking? Any question?
YAM
Okay.
update.
Okay, YAM update, good, excellent. Yes, you can do. So from CentOS machine, because this is CentOS platform, you don't need to using only apt, right? So I'll say, okay, first you give me from CentOS. If you want to use specific platform for images, you can give CentOS latest, means you'll pull latest images. Or if you want to give any kind of version, give me 7.0 or 7.5, that can be also fine. So I'll go for latest version. So I'll say the latest, and if you want to give any commands you want to run, or I'll just mention here, see what are the command. First will be starting with run, right? Run. What commands you want to run? So I'll say, okay, create a user, add, create one test user, create a test, and I'll say run group add admin. Yes or no? Group add admin. And if you want to run, I want to run yum install ftp lftp and elinks package, then -y. So it will install all this package in my container. And if you want to create any files as well, then you can run cmd, right? Touch command, whatever you want, you can do that way as well. So I'll just need to save this file. Okay, so that's fine. I'll just mention over here, and I'll say user equal to test. What does means? My container will be start from test user, not root user. So let it be this way. Let it be this fashion. Now what I'll do, I'll save this file. Sorry guys, I'll save this file. The next time, once your Docker file is ready, first step one is what? Docker build. You have just mentioned Docker build. Docker build, give a dot, which will take locally check Docker file. And the next will be you can give image name. So I'll say my CentOS classroom images. You have to give a -t, then hit enter. So first run user add test. First you'll run create a user, then you create a group, then you will try to run the some of the commands inside the container. So you find out the CentOS 8 upstream the repository, from he will pull that images. So that is fine. See, something problem, guys, if you're unable to find some of the packages because you have to add some of the registry inside your build file, so that is why it's failed. So I'll say do not install any packages because I have to enable the repository. So I just do this command at least. So now I'll run here this. So now I can see my build is successfully done. Now if I run Docker images, so now I can say my images which is available called image name CentOS with my customized name. Now if I start this container Docker run, then I'll use my image name. You can use ID as well. Okay, and what exactly you wanted to do? So I will get into the terminal. So I'll say -it -d or make it -d and sleep for 100 seconds. So I'll get my container. So now if I run docker ps command, so one container is running says. So if I want to execute docker exec -it container name and base, so I'll get into the container. So if I see the uname -a, I can see my this is for operating system. And if you want to see ID test, see test user is created, guys. Now if you read that etc group file, you can see admin group also created. Got the point? So always when you see uname -a, it show base machine kernel only, guys. As you already said, right, Docker will share the kernel. But if you see ket Red Hat release, you can see 8.2 version. Right? So like this, guys, you can create your own Docker file, customize and hand over to the customer. So, but industry, if you want to do install, they will ask you to install some of the packages. Then in that case, what you need to do? So you can create a one repo file, copy this dot repo file to copy to etc yum.repos.d, then install the packages. So if you just check here how to enable, if I just wanted to log in again, will I able to install? Okay, so 100 second is done. That is what is come out. I'll start again with give -it sleep. So I'll just use a Docker exec -it container name. This is my container name. Then give me the base prompt. So if I use a list all, so you can see if that images, if is it available, or you can create your own repo file, and you can create on repo file and transfer that file to there. So these are the image only available which you can install. You can install zlib package, zip packages, xorg packages. These are the packages which is presently available your upstream. Got the point?
I have one doubt. Suppose if I want to install RPM,
yeah,
sometimes we don't have the yum install, right? So the RPM we will download and we will install, right?
Yeah, you have to download that RPM. Suppose you have to do, or else you can do copy. For example, one image is already available. So there is a command called yum downloader, right? Which will download a packet repo RPM packages. Then you can directly install it RPM-IBS, run it that command. So in the Docker file, how do you, you can do
okay.
that.
In the Docker file, we have to give that command what you mentioned.
That you have to give the command. Or for example, I'll say.
Let's suppose if you don't mention in the Docker file, right, and if you log into the container from there, also we can download the RPM any package.
Yeah, you can. That can be do. But if you want to automation that one.
Yeah, one more thing, Sandeep. Let's suppose if I created one Docker file, right? Using that Docker file, I created one container. Later on, let's suppose if I will modify the same Docker file, and I will create another image. It will be the same image name, or it will be a different image name.
You can give a different name as well, or you can, if you give the same image, that facility will be available when you bring up again your application. Now say today you have deployed.
I guess it will be updated the old one, right?
Yes,
old
yes.
One
it will update old one only. But if you want to use some different name, you can also different name as well.
You want to update same image, we can update as well, right?
You can update as well. Yeah, you can update as well. That can be also possible.
After changing the.
Okay, let's suppose if I created one image and some user is already logged in that container. In the meanwhile, I am doing some changes on same container file, and it will reveal the new image, right? What will the impact? The user who
See,
already logged in.
that is what customer they will do upgrade. Suppose today you have deployed one application called Nginx 1.0. Okay, right? Next time you want to upgrade your application called Nginx 1.2. So 1.2 has some new features will be there. So you have to create your new images with new version. Then what you need to do, you have to upgrade or see the online you can upgrade your application version. So you just give that version, so user will not impact because this online upgrade will be there. So that you will see those are the things, guys, when you discuss about Kubernetes class, right? You can see online how to upgrade customer application. There will be no impact as well. Got the point? But always whenever any modification you are going to do, you should use different version. Suppose if I wanted to do copy some files here, I'll say copy, it will check. Suppose I'll say test.txt. Test.txt mean it will check in local machine the text.txt will be there. Then I'll just mention slash a copy to under opt. Clear? Now I'll save this file. Now ls command, I'll create test.txt file. Now I will do docker build, I'll say dot and -t, I'll give CentOS :1. So this is one version, 1.1 version I will give. That means planning to use this CentOS 1.1 version of images. What benefit you will get? You will create a user, you will create a group, or some of the customer will say, okay, can you copy this file? Customer, how they will do, usually they will copy some of the script file inside the Docker image, because that image they want to some script you want to execute inside the container. So in that case they will use a copy command. So I'll say here Docker-Day, so it will create it now with some of the version images over here. Now I'll ask the customer, if you are using CentOS 1.0 version, if you're using this CentOS 1.1 version, so this version of image has a script file is available. So you will get a script file inside the container and you can execute that script inside your container. Suppose if you want to do that as well, then what I'll do? So I'll say after copy, and I want to command execute cmd sh-opt/test.txt. So that script also will be executed. So whatever, guys, whatever you know in the Linux command, right, you can bring all your technology and put it over here. Or the pen, that can be also possible. All of you clear? What exactly, how do you create a Docker? How do you create a Docker image? Sorry. How to create Docker image, how to build, how to customize, how to make available. Now I want to copy these images made available to public. Then what I'll do? I need to log into my registry. Since I do not have a local registry, then I will log into Docker logging. Directly logging to hub.account. So I'll say I need to give my URL. Then I have to give the password. Right? First I log in. First you have to give Docker tag. Which image you want to tag? I'll say CentOS classroom image.
I guess you need to update the Docker image, right? After making changes.
Yes, I didn't do, but you know already, right? How to do that. You can do that way. So I'll just mention Docker tag image name over here. Then I'll say I want to paste that images pass-3. This is my hub account, and I'll give the CentOS over here. So I'll say CentOS, and I will use a latest tag. Now what I'll do, guys, I'll do Docker push that images. So if I give these images over here, now I can see this image will be made available to my Docker Hub account. That is what this way the the public guys will deploy, customize, and made available to the internet. So anybody can pull that images from the internet. Now you can see the images the present over here. Now if you go to your hub account, where is the hub account? Yes, your hub account with your repository. When you hit enter, so this will take little time. Okay, now when you after refresh, now I can see CentOS image is available. Ubuntu latest image there. Ubuntu will be there. Got the point? So like this, guys, you can create your own image, make a customize, and do whatever you wanted to do. You can do that way as well. Now I have created one Docker file. I have created one of the applications. This is one application which is available. I just want to deploy one simple web application. So if you want to deploy the simple web application, there is one like first you need to install this package. You need to install. Next you need to this Python web application, guys, and then install Python Flask dependency. Then you need to install pip install Flask. Then I don't want to configure MySQL, so you can also use MySQL. Then I just copy this app.py to specific source directory, and to start the web server you have to use a command called flask app.py, which is available script file, and start your container. Some customer will say, this is what I want to deploy, this is my application requirement, how to do that? And to test your application, this is the command called http your container IP address :port number, you can access your application. This is what you're planning to do, right, guys? How to achieve this task? So first what I'll do, I need to test my container. So I'll say, okay, first I will do docker run ubuntu. So I'll say please start it here, ubuntu, start my container. Sleep, I'll just give here 100 whatsoever. Then I'll just logging to exec -it and name of images. Before that I just want to check image, so I'll just do here docker exec -it, and what is the image? Sorry, I need to find docker ps command. So docker exec, then -it, your container name is called ubuntu space best. Give me the best. I got this requirement. The first question is what they're asking to install these packages, right? Okay, I will do. Next they're asking to install Python Flask dependency. I will do. Then I'll just copy this one. So first you try to understand how to do step-by-step basic, then you bring all the commands together, then you create a containerize that application. So first what I'll do, step one, install these all the packages. Okay, I don't want to install all dependency. I'll just install apt get install Python. I just want to install this package. Then what I'll do, guys, run this command. So whenever you install any package in Ubuntu, first your job is what? First you need to update. First update all the package so that you will get all the repository locally made available. Then you can start install your application. So this installation is Python package is installed. Okay, Python package is installed. Next, if you want, you can run all the command as well. Next, you want to install and configure web server. So to install a configure web server, you need to install pip install Flask. So I just install using pip command to install the Flask package. Okay, so when I install pip, I am seeing that pip is not installed. So how to install pip, guys? So to install a pip, right, there is a package name called this python.pip. This is the package which you need. I'll just apt install python. Sorry. So this is a customer requirement. So you have to do with your own. First, you bring up your one simple container, execute all the step by step given by customer.
Like we can create all these things in one Docker file,
Docker
right?
file. Yes. So this is what I'm doing. First, I'm doing manual steps. Then I will, once my manual steps are success, then I will do automation. Then I will tell to the customer, I have created Docker images. When you, if you use bring up your application, when if you use my container and to if you use my images, so if you bring your application, automatically your application bring up. Right. So that is what each customer will create on customized things. So first, they will bring images. They will execute step by step. They will return all the steps, and then they will convert all the commands into Docker file.
In real environment in organization, all these things, right, we have to do in the repository servers or in the Docker master server.
No, don't master server. They'll just create a content in a local machine, and they will create in boot up.
Okay.
And once you create a Docker image file, you made available to registry so that anybody, your all project member can be pull images from your registry. Okay, this is what I did. Next step is what, guys? After install this, right? Then I need to install this command. This is a command to bring up my application. So this first I need to install Flux. Still Flux is okay. I have to use Python because the version of called Python -pip. Okay, I'll make a note over here. Which command? You just use a pip3 command because the version will be pip3. Because you have to install Python -pip3 package you install. So you have to do pip3 install Flux. Okay, this is done. So next, what is the requirement? Once this install, then you need to copy app.py. Then you will ask the customer, okay, give me the python.py files. So I have created python.py file over here. So I'll copy this file, copy. The next I will do cat /opt under, because opt is an optional directory. Inside that you need to copy all the customer file, need to copy inside opt. So I'll just paste over here. Then control C. That means when I run cat command /opt and the app.py, see my Python file is available, guys. What is the next now? Once you have Python file, to start your web server, you run this command. Right? But you have to give the file from on which location you have the file is available. So I'll give this the file to start the customer application. So okay, so I'll just run this command, enter. Now what is saying, guys? Now your application is up and running right now. Yes or no? How do you access? Let me log into over here. First I need to check what is my container, Docker PS. So one container is running which is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is running. So I just need to find out here Docker Docker inspect and the container name, so that I will get one IP address. So the IP will be 0.3. So I just do call http:// the IP address. What is the port number is asking? You should use 5000. When you see 5000, so are you getting the message, guys? Welcome. That means you've done everything successfully with manual step as per customer. Now you will tell to the customer, yes, I have tested this simple web application which is working fine. Let me create one Docker image as per your requirement. Got the point? So will you able to create Docker file? So how to create Docker file? I'll control C over here. So I'll just written all the command. What are the commands I have execute? So I'll say first I have okay, I'll just written over here. So first I have as per customer, before install this package, first I need to execute apt-get update command. Second, I need to run a Python command. So I run a Python. Next I will run pip. Before install pip, you need to install apt this. So you have to summarize all the commands, then you have to make a automation. Then I need to install Flux. Next will be create Python file and to start your command container, to start the container. These are the syntax guys. These are the things you have to do. And can you do these are the using Docker file? Can you do in the Docker file? So then what I'll do, I need to write one Docker file. So I'll say, let me come out here. So I'll just create one folder called web app server. I'll go to this web app server folder. As you know, first you need to create Docker-D should be capital. Docker file you need to create. First you have to mention from which base image you want to use. I mentioned Ubuntu. So what are the steps I have to do guys? First I need to run. What are the commands I need to run? First run command called apt-get this image. Next I will run install Python. So I'll install Python. Sorry. Copy and make it paste here. This. Next I should install this. So is it okay? Instead of multiple, right? I'll just mention here same package name over here as well. Name of package Python as well. Python pip3. Next need to install pip command. So I'll just here. So that is what I just created over here. So what are the steps? See? First you mention run command, everything. Next commands you want to execute. What are the commands you want to execute? Where is the commands? Everything. Okay. Pip commands. So how to run this command? This is run only guys. So I'll say here run and paste over here. Next what you did? You create this file. So I'll say copy app.py which is available in my local machine. Please copy to under opt folder. So I'll give a copy to app.py and /opt folder. This is what we did. And to run this command, to start your container, you have to give entry point. So how to give entry point? So that automatically your command will be start. So I just here, you can give an entry point guys. So you run this command with the port number, specific port number as for the customer. So I have written everything. First start my bare metal Ubuntu is my base operating system. Then run this update command, then install Python and the pip command and run this command, copy this value. But make sure app.py should available in your local machine. So I'll just save this file and I'll go to ls command. Here I will create app.py. So I have written that Python file as per here. So I copy this, make it paste. Simple. My job is done right now. So I'll say everything done as for customer requirement. Now I will create Docker build dot. What is the build name guys? Build file will taking care with current build file. Then I can give the sample web app. Create one image name called sample web app -t. So when you hit enter, it will try to build with all this requirement and create a new images. So like this, you bring customer requirement, made it, you do first manually steps, then you convert those steps to create a Docker file. Now you ask to customer, you use these images. So if you use this image to bring up your application, automatically bring up your application. You don't need to do anything. But later on, if customer want to change the IP address, change port number, something they wanted to do, then they can customize themselves as well.
Saurav, can you explain that entry point part?
Okay, entry point, which is called to start your web server. See, run is a command to execute a command. Entry point to start the customer application you want to start. So you have to give an entry point.
So earlier we used CMD, right? That we can use that also.
No, CMD, that will not work. If anything you want to start any port number, or if you want to start, right, you have to use the entry point in the Docker file.
Okay.
So that you just use this image to bring up your application, then your application will be up and running. Now you can see is done, about to finish. So hopefully guys, any kind of complex customer application you can make a Docker. Yes.
What is the difference between the CMD and entry points? Also, when we use the CMD in Dockerfile
CMD, yeah, CMD, that command only for execute. If you want to, after you start your container, if you want to run any command inside the container, you run a CMD. CMD will run after you bring up your application. Okay, only for command. But entry point, which will use to the application port number, very accessible. So those things you can go for entry point. That means this is only entry point. You will use IP address, defining the IP address, port number. Then you can go for entry point. But CMD only for normal things. You cannot bring up your application. You cannot define any port number.
Okay, so for entry points, we only use the IP address and the port number when we want to give the container, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay guys, now you can see you have created your own images. Now if I start this container with my own images, then I can start. So same thing, you can see I just already made steps also available. So first these are the command I have executed in direct container. So these are the things you have to define in your port number, host port number in the entry point. And so once everything is done, you run build command, your own images, everything you can do. Or if you want to push registry, then logging push can be also possible. So now if you want to start this container, then what I'll do guys, I'll just run docker run. I'll start use this name. So I'll say -d, make it in backend, and container name, and make it sleep for 100. So this is running in the backend. Right now, if you run docker ps, you will see now the simple web app is up and running. But if you want to just verify, so I'll say what is the IP address. So I'll say docker inspect, and the container name, you'll see the IP will be 0.2. Now if you run hit call -kv http : the port number : 5000. What is the port number guys?
Given 8080.
No, the 5000 I given. Okay, it's a simple web app started, Stunker execute -it, container name, and bash. I just started manually now. What exactly it will do? So now if I try to hit, so now you can see the welcome messages. Yes or no, guys? So you don't need to do anything. Simply you start that IP and check the IP address. Now you can able to access your application. So application is automated.
Sir, we not given any 5000 right anywhere, but it's a default port.
Python 5000 we that is Python because the port number which of images we have used, so that is called 5000 port number, that Python has. Okay, so hopefully guys everybody clear what exactly this, and whenever you start the content, the start the flux, right, it will show you should access application through port number will be this. So this is what you should use whenever you hit that your application. So like this you can create your own multiple Docker images file as per the requirement and start your job. But what will happens if you can use multiple Docker image? Suppose some cases is required multiple applications. Some say I want to start a web server, I want to use a database server, and at a time I want to bring up my application, bring down on my application. I want to scale up those applications you wanted to do. Then if you want to do all things there, and yesterday somebody asked question like how to launch a container with multiple images. So that can be possible through Docker compose command. That can be do only the Docker compose only. So please do little R&D of the Docker file, how to write your own basic Docker file. If you are in Linux admin, suppose if you want to deploy one HTTPD server, or you want to configure a FTP server, or you want to configure a Ansible server, right? That can be possible. So you written all the step by step how to configure FTP. I need first a CentOS operating system. CentOS operating system you got from CentOS. Next command yum install FTP. Next copy this one file inside this var www.html file or var ftp pop directory. Then you restart the service, run command service http to restart. Those all the commands you bring up, and you design your own images. So you can ask now, if you use these images, your FTP server will bring up. So automatically you can access your application. So whatever you know guys, you can write your own Docker file, made all the commands, and create your own Docker images, made available to you Docker Hub account. Okay, so do you need 2 minutes break guys? 2 minutes break do you need, so that we will discuss Docker compose, if you guys are okay?
Yeah, we need 5 minutes.
Okay, so let's come back 8:10.
Sure.
Just for information, so after this how much time it will take?
It will take 20 minutes. So 8:30 we will wind up. 8:10
Okay.
another 20 minutes to wind up.
Sure.
Thank you. which is called, which will help you to bring up your multiple container, multi-container Docker application. Suppose you need a database as a Redis is a database, web server, Nginx is web server, and you want to deploy multi-container application you want to deploy, then that will be possible only, guys, Docker Compose command. So Docker Compose is a tool for defining and running multi-container Docker application. Okay, so how do you create? You just need to create one YAML file to configure application service. So you just need to like in the Docker file we have created a Docker file, but in the Compose you need to create called docker-compose.yml file you need to create. That's it, right? And how Docker Compose will work if you go to microservice. So if I see here a small diagram of things microservice, how it will, so each microservice has multiple container and multiple gateway. So they'll say payment is one gateway, or if they want to do billing has a different the microservice, and each and every one will be talking to each other. And sometime if they want to you can say this is one of the service microservice, and if they want to do client want to talk to API gateway will be talk to multiple service to bring up your application. And this Compose will help you to replica on your service, and individual selected service can be scale up whenever required. If any hit will come to more, any multiple guys want to access my application, can be do this. Docker Compose, which is very easy to deploy. It's like kind of Docker file only. So what you need to do, I'll just very simple and very easy, and it's very interesting, guys. I'll just create a mkdir or Docker Compose, for example, Docker. I'll just create Docker Compose. Get into this directory. Sorry, Docker Compose files I have created. Inside this, what you need to do is you just need to be create one file. The name is called docker-compose.yml. Just need to create docker-compose.yml. Okay, and hit enter and just press insert mode. And you just need to mention, for example, I just mentioned over here service. First, starting with the service. What kind of service you want to deploy? Let's, for example, I want to deploy the web. I'll just give it one name. One name is called web. So in the web, which image will be used this web application? I'll say web application will use image called Nginx image will use. Next will be I'll deploy one more application. The name is called database. Application name will be database. So in the database, I will use the image name will be Redis. Image name will be Redis image. This is what I did. It's very small things. In one Docker Compose file, you have defined multiple containers. And when you start your Docker Compose, automatically it will start Nginx Redis. Both containers will be started at a time, and both will talking to each other. Now I just save this file. I have saved this file. And before you bring off your Docker Compose, first you need to run called docker-compose. So Docker, now if you run Docker Compose, see Docker Compose is not installed, guys. Are you seeing Docker Compose? It's not installed. So if it's not installed, then you cannot create a multi-container. Then that means first you need to install a Docker Compose. How do you install a Docker Compose? If you go to here, a Docker file, Docker docs dot, here if you just mention Docker compose. Get started with Docker Compose. I'll just do install compose, install Docker Compose. So if you want to install Docker Compose, guy, you need to select which operating system. If you're on Windows, Mac, or you want to use Linux, I am using Linux operating system. You just run this command, just sudo run this command. This is a command to install a compose. So I just insert here sudo. This will be download a Docker Compose packages. Once it is download, next will be you just need to be run this sudo, give a permission to execute permission to the script file. So run this command, execute this file. After that, you can just make a link so that anywhere you can execute Docker Compose. You don't need to go to specific the folder. Make a link to the directory anywhere. Now, if you run docker-compose, the -v, you can see that the version of compose, the version which you install called 1.26. This is a Docker Compose version. Yes or no, guys? You can also run -, version, and this will be also will give you the same output, right? You have created a Docker Compose file, which is very simple Docker Compose file you have created. You just mention given a name, service, starting with the service, and you have given one application name called web. They will use image name called Nginx. You have created one more application name called database. Image will be Redis image. Fair enough. But how to start? Before you bring up your application, first you need to run docker-compose-config. Config will be, it will just verify your compose file, whether it is successfully created or not. He's saying that compose YAML is invalid because you have not given any the version. So yeah, for example, let me see what is that. So I'll say give a version. So what is the version of your container? So I'll give the version. Sorry, version. The version, suppose I mentioned the version name is called version 1. Okay, version is 1. Now I'll save this file. Now if I execute docker compose config, so it's saying that the version which you have mentioned, which is the invalid version, to get your correct version, you just go to this link. So let me go to in this link. Let me verify what is which version we should use. This file. Don't worry, guys. Once done, I will explain you again. Our version will be 19.0.3, which is a Docker version. So let me see the Docker the version. So our Docker version will be okay. Docker version, guys, what is our Docker version, which is called 19.0.3. So if you are using 19.0.3, what is the compose file version should come? 19.0.3 Docker version, your compose file format will come 3.8 version. So what I'll do, I'll just correct my file over here. The version will be 3.8. Guys, if those are not speaking, can you please mute from your end? A lot of sound is coming. Thank you, guys. I'll just, okay, it's good now. So now I just given the version over here. Now let me save this file. Now if I use Docker version, Docker compose, this will be verify your configuration file of Docker, configuration file, your compose file, hit enter. Now it looks good. Now I got a messages that everything is looks good. Now you have created a Docker compose file. Now if you want to bring up your application, how do you bring up your application? So I'll just say docker-compose. Please bring up. When you say up, right, When you say docker compose op, he will read your docker compose file on your local machine, which is a current working directory, and it will start. So I'll say start it from background. So hit enter. See, when I do -d, it will start first. He will read that file and start first. We'll try to some of the pull Redis images, because Redis image is not available in my local machine. We try to Redis images pull, and he created two. First, he created one web server, and he's created one database. Two applications created now. Now, if you run docker ps-a, docker -ps, you can see now Nginx is up and running and Redis also up and running. That means at a time you have bring up multiple container. Got the point, guys? Now you have you have two applications up and running. One is called Redis and one is called Nginx. Suppose you want to bring down, so you just mention here docker compose down. So down means it will just bring down your application. So if I just do docker compose down, now you can, if you run docker ps command, now you can see the Redis and Nginx, both the application is completely down right now. Got the point, guys? Now what I'll do, let me modify a little. I'll just go back to my docker compose file, and I just want to mention here the image name, the version of image. I'll say the enable the port number so that I can access your application from outside. So I'll say enable the port number. So the first port number will be 800. So I'll say 800 slash or 800:80 port number slash TCP. So the first port number is your host port number. This is your container port number. Nginx is web server. Always port number will be 80. Now what I'll do, guys, now I'll run. You can give any port number. It's not 8080. Anything you can mention, 9090, whatsoever you wanted to do. How you're able to access it. Suppose if I just mention 90, 90 and 90 over here. Okay. Now I will save this file. I'll save this file. Now I'll say docker compose op. It will up and make it -d. So it will just bring up your two applications with enable the port number. Now if you mention docker ps enter, you can see now Nginx and Redis is up and running. Now if you want to access Nginx application, then what you need to do, I have enabled the port number. So I'll go back to my terminal. I just over here, I'll just type here http://192.168.150:9090. Hit enter. So now you can, guys, you can see welcome to Nginx, right? So the docker compose command bring up your application. Now you can see Nginx. You're welcome. Your application is successfully up and running right now. So now you can see docker ps, everything's running fine. So anytime if you want to bring down, you can do bring down, or somebody will say, okay, let me bring down my application. So I'll say docker -compose down. This will down both application. Got the point? So you have the docker compose.yml file is available right now. Suppose somebody say, okay, today is Saturday and Sunday pickup time will be more, so I need a multiple instance should be I need to bring up. So what I'll do here, docker -compose op, it will bring up both the application, and before that op, there is an option called -d is a backend. I'll give an scale up. Which application you want to scale up? I'll also mention database. So I'll say my database application should be 4 container I need. So I'll just mention database equal to 4. When I giving database equal to 4, hit enter, it will just bring up 4 contents. So look at guys, 4 contents, look, 4 application to bring up, and 1 web server. So if you want to do web also, same thing, -n scale database equal to 4 space, the name is web equal to 4. Now if you run docker ps command, now you can see here 4 Redis container is available, and one is Nginx available. So like this, guys, you can maintain the large infrastructure, the container. So if you want to that, this benefit is what at a time you can bring up your application, at a time you can bring down. So you can manage at a time not only two. If you want to give multiple container, you can give all multiple container. You can give multiple container as well.
Santosh, one question here. So when you do Docker Compose down, in this case we have only one service, right? Like which is having a web and database. Let's say I'm creating two services with two Docker Compose file. I want to bring down one component, not the other one.
Yes. So in that case, you have to give. Suppose you have two Docker Compose will be there. So when you say Docker-compose down, you have to mention over here the service. So when you mention service, right, it will bring up only this file. So next time if you want to bring down any one of the application, you can give any one. Suppose if you want to bring down web, it will bring down only web application. Same thing, you have to read that file, next file, and bring down accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Saurav, when you give the scale, right, it is automatically tuning the database. Means whenever one database is having more utilization, it automatically.
That automatically things are not available Docker, but yes, this will be available in Kubernetes. But here you have to do manually.
So the scale will bring up the number of containers.
Number of container, yes. So you have to see that utilization. If you feel your utilization is very less and utilization is very high, so you have to bring up multiple container like using Docker Compose only. But in the Kubernetes, this will be do automatically on demand. Increase on demand can be scaled down your application based on the requirement. If you mention, okay, if my container uses 80% CPU and 80% memory, please create one more container. Then you need to enable call one HPA will be one is the HPA, horizontal pod autoscaler, which will be taking care automatically. You are not going to do manually. But in the Docker, there is no option. You have to do manually. So is that clear, guys? How do you create a Docker Compose, which is very easy? Creating a Docker Compose in here.
Sorry, one question. Actually, you just explained. So what you're saying is, if I want to use Docker Compose down, I can just bring down web, or I can bring down database. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is like this, guys. You can create your own compose file, and you can bring down your application, bring up your application. But the problem is in the Docker, you have did everything. For example, if one container goes down, or like multi-container, you want to combine multiple node, right? Those things are required. Now you created 100 container. Who is going to monitoring? There is someone should required who can monitor my container. Who is responsible for talking to multiple container with multiple node, right? So if node 1 is down, automatically my application can be accessible from node 1. So those taken care by Kubernetes. So those will be taken care of the Kubernetes. So next we will talk about Kubernetes class. So in the Kubernetes class, then that will be help. These are the options. Whatever you are asking, everything will be scaling, scale up, and the deployment part will be more efficiently. You can configure deployment, and a lot of advantages will be there. Your application never will be goes down. Even if it's down, automatically Kubernetes will bring up your application. Has one service called controller will be there, which will bring up your application automatically. Those things, all the features are available in Kubernetes.
Okay, I get a question for the content, like the data inside the image. Need a backup for that or storage? How are we going to retrieve again?
Your voice is breaking. If you don't mind, can you repeat?
Yeah, the content inside that image is gone when you bring it, when you put it down, or when you need it back again. How are you going to access that content inside the data, or like Redis or whatever application you're using it.
Okay, content, exactly. The content data, see, by default, the container data, if it's a bring down, the by default Docker will not, it will give you one temporary Docker storage. If containers goes down, your application also, you can lose your application data. But yes, there is one concept called volume. You can attach one volume. You can give a separate volume to your container. Even your container goes down, still you can able to access your container data. So that will be there in the Kubernetes, which is called persistence volume concept will be there.
All right, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Even you can give a Docker volume will be there, but I don't want to discuss the Docker volume right now. That we will discuss in the Kubernetes class. We will give focus more about Kubernetes. So these are the just basic things. So I can take another 10 to 20 class for Docker, but it's not useful. Whichever the basic thing is required, I have explained you so that you can familiarize like a container platform, and up to this knowledge you can work containers platform. Any application you can containerize, any application you can Dockerize, you can create your own images, bring up your application. Yes, go ahead. Any question? Other question?
How about the public facing site? If at all, if it is public facing site, if we are trying to show some, to handle the inbound traffic, public facing site. So how does it work?
Yes. So there is a concept called ingress traffic will be the ingress concept will be there, which you can your application will talk to external database through you can access your application data for egress. So there is a concept called egress, which we'll talk about in the Kubernetes.
But Sandeep, that feature also in Docker, that one is only for the Kubernetes, right?
Yeah. So that is available Docker, which you should give a public IP. So if you assign one public IP to your container, then your container can talk to outside of your database. But in that case of Kubernetes, the Kubernetes has called egress will be there, which will be you can talk to your external database.
So like if we try to create a public IP for this container, any container, so will I be able to access this container from outside?
You can able to access from outside. Yeah, internet you can access. So if I assign the one container public IP, if I give the public IP to you, you can access on your laptop.
Okay.
Okay, guys, any questions? So I'll share you all that today's the document whichever I did, but make sure please practice on your end as well. Tomorrow we will see some of the things. If possible, we will see some Docker stuff, registry part also. And slowly we will jump to our Kubernetes part. So hopefully tomorrow we will finish our introduction of Kubernetes, which is what is a Kubernetes and what Kubernetes can do it for you. You have you have created multiple container, and who is responsible for managing your container platform. If any one container goes down, who is responsible for automatically bring up your application, right? Those things, facilities are not there in the Docker, because Docker, you created a container, but to managing, you should create orchestration. You need an orchestration who can manage your container platform. Then in the Kubernetes, will give you all kind of feature, lot of benefit will be there. Automatic deployment, automatic rolling upgrade. You can upgrade your application without downtime. Online, you can upgrade your cluster, node, n number of worker node you can add. So too many things will be there. So in the Docker, you have a multiple node, but in the Kubernetes, two type of machine will be there. One is a master, one is a worker node. Master is responsible for managing the worker node, managing your cluster, right? So worker node, node 1, node 2, which will help you to deploy a container. and the container getting the IP address, same thing. The network port network will be there, Kubernetes network will be there. We will talk about the more details about the Kubernetes classes. So basic things, please practice. Yesterday class, today class, please practice. And if you guys, because I have shared all the document yesterday, some guys telling they did not receive the documentation. So
yeah,
please, if
even they did not receive. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are part of WhatsApp group or not?
No, I don't know if we are or not, but I send my number through the.
Okay, I'm really sorry for that. Anyone there? Sojanya or Nityanand, anyone is there in this call? Nobody is there.
Yes, sir, tell me please.
Okay, Sarji, sir, what you need to do, collect. There are some few guys does not they have not added in the WhatsApp group. So
Okay.
please get that the phone number and update that number in the WhatsApp group so that they can get all the documentation. And few guys have not received the document yesterday class document they have not received. So please share the documented to them.
Okay.